Um, Telling my daughter was something completely different. I did all the research on it because my daughter is very inquisitive. She wants to know all the ins and outs, just like me. And so I researched it so that I could tell her, and I read they gave me this book on how to tell your children mom has cancer, and I was reading it and I was laughing as I was reading because my child she's been through so much, deployments and, dealing with her father who has PTSD, dealing with mom and all these things. So she's very mature for her young age. So I tried to present it to her in the way that they said to do it in the book, the recommendation, and she just looked at me and she was just like, why are you talking to me like I'm 6? And she was 7. So I sat her down and I actually had a PowerPoint presentation I did for college on cancer, on different types of carcinomas. So I sat her down and we went through it, and I gave her the medical, like as if I was in a medical, like a tumor board again. And I showed her and I was just like, this is what's happening. This is, went into detail as far as like how the cancer started in the milk duct and how it broke down and invaded the tissue. And it was very much science class for her, and she handled it very well. And she's like, okay, well, what do we do now? And I told her, well, I do chemo. And then I explained to her that when I do chemo, my hair will fall out. And we went through all those details. And she only had two or three instances where I could tell she was concerned. The first one was when I was on block leave. This is the first time she's seen me in over 12 months, and I'm telling her I have cancer. So we were at the pool swimming, and some guy was sitting there, and she told him, my mom has cancer, and she's going to start treatment soon. And the guy, she went to walk away, and the guy's like, I'm so sorry, my mom passed away from cancer, so I'm very sorry. And she freaked out. She's like, Mommy, you didn't tell me you could die from it. So as a mom, I didn't know how to react. I didn't know what to say. And so I sat her down, and, of course, given the man the evil eye, I sat her down because he was like, I'm so sorry. So I sat her down and I told her, I was like, there is always a potential to die from something. The potential is always there. I just came home from a deployment where I had the potential to die. You know that. However, we're doing everything we can, and that's why I'm going to go through this treatment. That's why I'm going to lose my hair. And she's like, okay. So if we do the treatment, if you take the poison, that's what she called it, if you take the poison, it'll help keep you from dying. I'm like, yes. So she was okay. The other incident was a few days later when I was about to get on the flight to go home. It still was in her head that my mom could die. And she's like, why are you going back? And I said, well, I have to go back to work. And I was like, I have to get ready to come home. I was like, you finish out your vacation with your daddy, and then you'll come home with me. She's like, I don't understand why you have to work. You have cancer. She's like, you shouldn't be at work. You should be at home. She's like, you just came home from deployment. You should be at home with me. So it was a little bit, in her eyes, I didn't know how to fix that. And as a mom, there are certain things you just can't fix with hugs and kisses. So I had to explain it to her. I still have to work. I still have to get our stuff ready to go. I'm going to move us, and then you'll fly in and you'll come back with mom, but finish your vacation with daddy, and, trying to protect her. And then the only other instance she ever had was when I felt like going through all the treatment, we both were handling it in our own way. Like, she was so grown. Like, I'd be nauseous on the way to school, and she'd be like, Mom, will you stop trying to hide that you're sick? I know you're sick. And I'm like, well, I don't want to embarrass you and throw up at school. And she's like, you won't embarrass me. What you're embarrassing me is by gagging. And I'm just like, she's like, if you need to throw up, throw up. And but she handled everything so well that I was concerned. Like, she'd go to school and tell her friends, my mom, that's a wig on my mom's head. Or, or my mom has cancer, little things, she'd bring it all down. And I think the only time I got concerned, probably about maybe a year, almost to October of 2012, that we both weren't addressing a lot of issues. And so I decided to make her an appointment with a psychologist. And when she got out there, he's like, your daughter is one of the most well-adjusted children I've ever seen. Coming from a family that has so many traumatic things that have happened. He's like, she only had one concern. And I'm like, what is that? He's like, she's concerned with the numbers. And I'm like, oh, what do you mean numbers? And she asked him that she wanted to know, what are the odds of mommy going from stage, because I know cancer goes up. The higher the number, the worse it is. She's stage 3 now. What are the odds of her getting stage 4? is it going to happen? And so he advised me to sit down and talk to her about the numbers and let her know what we're doing. And I'm very much a realist. I don't believe in sugarcoating. So I told her that, as long as I do everything I'm supposed to, we'll bring it back down to where hopefully there is no cancer. But the odds of it coming back, mommy's risk factors are pretty high that it could in fact come back. But as long as we do everything we're supposed to, we'll be okay.